If you've been called to the Nigerian bar, congratulations. I know that mixture of excitement and anxiety. Maybe you're already stressing about your results or worried that if you did not come out with a first class or a 2-1, your dream of working with a top law firm is out of reach. But what if I told you that there's more than one way in? Hi, my name is Oghenekaroisiorho, and a few years ago, I was in your exact same position, freshly called to bar, unsure of what was next, and watching my peers compete into the top firms in Nigeria. Now, my journey did not follow the conventional route, and that's exactly why I want to share with you exactly what works if you want to break into legal space or if you want to get into a top law firm, even if your law school results aren't what you hope for. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to get into a top law firm, even if your results aren't what you hope for. So first of all, let's be honest, grades are not everything. But at the entry level, when you're just freshly out of law school, you do not have enough work experience, grades act as a filter. Employers, most especially top law firms, will use your grades as a filter to measure your ability to cope with the rigorous work environment. Because at the entry level, it's not about your grade, your experience, it's about your potential. So your grades are a quick way to assess whether you have the ability to meet the demands of a law practice. Do you have the ability to put in the long hours, the pace of work, and even the pressure that comes with it? As a first class or a 2-1, it is easier to get the door open because it's assumed that you are hardworking, right? However, not having a first class or a 2-1 does not mean that the door is closed. So what if you finish with a 2-2 or a third class? You might feel like your dream is dead. You can still get into a top law firm, but maybe not right away. Start somewhere. There are amazing smaller law firms where you get hands-on training. In fact, in smaller law firms, you are thrown into the deep end with drafting, research, court appearances, even managing clients, like liaising, interfacing with clients. Start small. In my first law job, I learned how to do so many things, not because they were really part of my job description, but because the firm was small. We didn't have, for instance, a very stable IT team. So therefore, I had to learn how to use things like MailChimp, things like Canva. I had clients assigned to me that I had to respond to their emails, have calls with them. I became resourceful, and that made me very valuable. The trick is to choose a small law firm that is intentional about training, a firm where you would actually work, a firm where you would actually do the work, not somewhere you will go to and you will sit down, right? Within the first 1 to 2 years, those are very key years, very important periods that you need to be soaking up as much experience as possible, getting as much training as possible. So don't go to a small firm because you think you will not be doing so much work. You will be shocked by how many people later get headhunted by top law firms after 1 or 2 years into the law practice, because at that point, grades are no longer the filter. Experience is: how well do you write? How well can you manage clients? Can you think commercially? That's what firms are looking for at that mid level. That will make you valuable, that will make you attractive to a top law firm. They would headhunt you. If you send out your CVs to them, you go for an interview, you're able to show value, you're able to show that you have knowledge, you have experience, that will get you hired at that level. But I would also like to mention that for some people, after starting at a smaller law firm or a mid-sized law firm, they may not even be interested in going into a top law firm anymore. And why? Growth might be faster. Smaller teams mean more visibility. Let's say you have a team of 20 people in a top law firm. In a smaller firm, you might only be 5 people. What that means is that your work might be more visible. Growth might be faster. You may rise to senior associate or even partner in a record of time if that is what you want. In a top law firm, there's usually a longer line of seniority and even a more rigid promotion structure. So yes, having top grades gives you a faster route to a top law firm, but not having them just means that you can go through a different route, and that's fine. Smaller firms can shape you fast, expose you more, and enable you to compete at the top. So if you're a young lawyer still figuring out your first job or dreaming about breaking into a top law firm, leave a comment down below and tell me how it's going. And do not forget to like and share this video.